Today, the biggest news in the world is that Zohran Mamdani has been elected as the new mayor of New York. This news is everywhere, on every news channel, every website, and in every political discussion. Everyone also knows that 34-year-old Zohran Mamdani will be New York City's first Muslim, socialist, South Asian, and youngest ever mayor. But the real story doesn't lie in the announcement of his victory. It lies in the journey that, until a few years ago, seemed impossible. Zohran Mamdani faced opposition from some of the most powerful people in the world, including Elon Musk, one of the richest men alive. Not only Musk, but several of America's wealthiest individuals were against him. Influential and long-established politicians opposed him. Even most senior members of his own party stood against him. Yet Zohran Mamdani stunned the world by running a grassroots, people-powered campaign in one of the world's most complex, wealthy, and influential cities, a city whose political system he didn't belong to, but rather stood against. This isn't just the story of an election campaign, it's the story of a determination that reshaped New York's political landscape. The real story is that in a city where money and influence decide politics, one person, standing firm on his principles, reached a place once thought impossible. New York, a city of power, wealth, and influence, has chosen a mayor named Zohran Mamdani, a young man once considered to have almost no chance of winning. He was accused of being anti-Semitic and told that he could never become New York's mayor because after Israel, New York has the world's second largest Jewish population. He was threatened for criticizing billionaires, advised to downplay his Muslim identity, and warned that his progressive stance could cost him his career. But Zohran Mamdani did not back down. Throughout his campaign and even in his victory speech, he proudly embraced his identity. Except for U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, almost no major political figure stood beside him. The Democratic Party leadership hesitated to endorse him openly. Former President Barack Obama stayed silent until the very last moment. The U.S. president opposed him. America's big billionaires opposed him. Racist and conservative groups opposed him. Even many within his own party turned against him. He was warned not to criticize Israel, but instead he worked with Jewish allies and challenged extremist Zionist narratives. He was warned not to criticize Indian Prime Minister Modi, but he did, and India's Gaudiya media launched a campaign against him. Still, Zohran Mamdani remained vocal, speaking against Islamophobia, standing up for immigrants, and fighting for their rights rather than backing away. He fought the billionaires, ran an unconventional campaign, and achieved an unconventional victory, proving that if you stand firm on your beliefs and keep fighting, you can win even against figures like Modi, Trump, Netanyahu, and the world's richest elites. Now, from January 1st, 2026, Zohran Mamdani will take on one of the toughest responsibilities in U.S. politics, managing a $115 billion budget and serving 8.5 million people. His biggest challenge will be fulfilling promises that many analysts consider impossible. According to Forbes, at least 26 American billionaires, including Elon Musk, united against Zohran Mamdani, mocking him, twisting his name, funding his opponent, and ridiculing his campaign. But Mamdani exposed the power of money and privilege throughout his campaign. When he criticized Israel's policies, he was attacked. When he criticized Modi, Indian media targeted him. When major party leaders and mainstream media turned against him, it was youth, students, workers, Muslims, and justice-seeking Jews who stood beside him. Through his open support for Palestine and criticism of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, Zohran Mamdani showed that true leadership means standing for what's right, not what's popular. And today, the same city that once called him an outsider now calls him Mayor of New York. Zohran Mamdani won with 50% of the votes, defeating independent candidate Andrew Cuomo, backed by Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and America's richest elite, as well as the Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. Cuomo had suspended his own campaign in September, but returned later as an independent. Mamdani received 50.4% of the vote, Cuomo 41.6%, and Sliwa only 7.1%. This election saw the highest voter turnout since 1970, with more than 2 million people casting their ballots. Zohran Mamdani launched his official campaign on October 23, 2024, presenting 3 key policy points: free bus service across New York City, free childcare, and rent freezes on housing. When Cuomo entered the race on January 25, 2025, Mamdani won the Democratic primary on June 24 with a clear and unexpected lead. Just before the election, on September 3rd, reports surfaced that Trump and Cuomo had held secret meetings, and Trump announced his support for Cuomo over his own party's candidate. Trump repeatedly insulted Mamdani and called his supporters stupid, warning that Mamdani's victory would be a threat to America. But Mamdani had already said in an interview on June 17, "I know they will attack my face, my voice, and my identity. Trump and Cuomo are funded by the same billionaire Republicans. I am Trump's worst nightmare because I will be the Muslim, immigrant, progressive mayor that he fears most."
Political observers across the United States and around the world are calling Zohran Mamdani's victory one of the most significant political upsets in modern American history. For decades, the politics of New York City have been dominated by money, media influence, and powerful lobbies. Yet Mamdani, a Muslim, South Asian, and self-described socialist, managed to overcome all odds to become the city's first-ever Muslim mayor. Analysts say this victory has redefined what's possible in American democracy. For years, candidates dependent on large corporate donations and billionaire endorsements ruled New York's political stage. But Mamdani's campaign broke that pattern entirely. His movement was powered not by billionaires, but by volunteers, small donations, and community organizations spread across all 5 boroughs of New York. Students, taxi drivers, healthcare workers, and even retired teachers contributed to his campaign fund, making it one of the most people-driven political movements in recent U.S. history. According to political experts, Mamdani's message, "People over profit, justice over power," resonated with millions of citizens who felt excluded from the system. His bold promises, including free bus service, rent freezes, and universal childcare, were initially dismissed as political fantasy by mainstream commentators. Yet those very promises became symbols of hope for working-class families struggling with New York's ever-increasing cost of living. In his victory speech, Mamdani said, "This city belongs to those who build it, clean it, and keep it alive, not just those who own its towers." His statement immediately went viral across social media platforms, symbolizing a generational shift in American politics. Supporters gathered in the streets of Queens, chanting slogans celebrating his win as a triumph for immigrants, Muslims, and all those who had long felt sidelined in the American political system. Internationally, reactions have been equally strong. In South Asia, Mamdani's win was celebrated as a moment of pride for immigrants from the region. Leaders and citizens in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka hailed the victory as evidence that the children of South Asian immigrants can rise to the highest levels of leadership in the Western world. On the other hand, right-wing groups in India criticized him for his outspoken opposition to Prime Minister Modi's policies, while progressive movements in the Middle East praised his consistent stance on Palestinian rights. In Israel, several newspapers described Mamdani's election as a challenge to U.S.-Israel relations, pointing to his repeated criticism of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his calls for a more balanced American foreign policy in the Middle East. Meanwhile, Muslim communities across the U.S. have expressed joy and relief, calling his win a symbol of representation and courage. Domestically, Mamdani now faces the enormous task of converting his promises into action. As the incoming mayor, he will manage a $115 billion annual budget and oversee policies that affect nearly 8.5 million residents. Economists have warned that implementing his rent control and free transport initiatives could trigger financial pushback from real estate corporations and transport unions. However, Mamdani's team insists that restructuring tax policies and reducing corporate privileges will generate the funds needed to keep his promises. Political insiders say his administration will be under intense scrutiny from both supporters and critics. Billionaires who opposed him, including Elon Musk, are expected to use their influence to lobby against his policies. However, Mamdani's allies, including progressive Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, believe his election could spark a new wave of grassroots movements across America. Experts are already calling Zohran Mamdani's success a new chapter in U.S. politics, where identity, equality, and people-powered activism may begin to reshape the nation's future. As one political analyst put it, Zohran Mamdani didn't just win an election, he changed the definition of what winning means in America.